Well, this did not go well for the Detroit Lions. It went really well for the Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk about how the Ravens were able to make things not go so well for the Detroit Lions. It was some stuff like this, where the way this play works, it's a 3rd down and 6, and for the Lions, they have a couple of routes that are going to hopefully be a bit underneath the coverage here. You know that the Ravens are going to be covering that 1st down marker right at the 48. So if you can, make a pass at like the 46, hopefully your receiver can turn around and pick up a 1st down. This is what the Lions rely a lot on, right? Yards after the catch, that kind of thing. You're going to see Jared Goff takes a snap. He looks over in that direction, and he could fire it here. It's a question. It's not wide open. You see that the Ravens, who are just on the outside of the frame, are right there. If you want to make this throw, I understand it. If you don't want to make this throw, I kind of do understand it as well. Personally, I would have liked to see him probably throw it closer towards the bottom of the screen to Amon-Ra St. Brown, but that's not where he was looking right now. So, this is kind of the difficulty of 3rd downs especially, is you kind of have to make decisions really quickly because the opposing pass rush knows it's 3rd down and knows that it's going to be a passing play almost certainly and can just, go out to rush the passer, and it's working well here. I mean, you see there is pressure coming. Jared Goff is going to take the sack right there, which obviously you don't love. You would have liked to see him make the throw in hindsight for sure. But again, it's tough because if you make one of those throws and it gets batted up and intercepted, everyone blames you there as well. So the reality is the Ravens defense was just putting Detroit in tough situations, where they were putting Jared Goff in situations where he had to make tough calls. And anytime you can do that, the quarterback's going to get the blame for making the wrong decision. But even if you made the other decision, it's possible it wouldn't have worked out because the Ravens were just playing good defense. Going over to a play like this, I had kind of just posed a theory on the podcast. Is it possible there's a bit of a bad matchup situation going on for the Lions here? As we've seen Tampa Bay now and Baltimore's defense both play the Lions offense really well. Now, Lions offense was still able to put up 20 points against Tampa Bay. This game didn't go as well as it did last week, but still, the defenses were able to kind of slow down this Lions offense. And part of me was like, well, yeah, because, the Ravens and Buccaneers, they have very similar schemes. You know what they also have is they each have players who can go toe-to-toe with Sam Laporta, which a lot of teams just don't have, right? Tampa Bay with Levante David, and in this game, it was Kyle Hamilton, the second-year superstar safety. He's the guy who, it's man coverage. You see Sam Laporta's route, and it is Kyle Hamilton who's going to be the one covering him one-on-one. As you see, Jared Goff's going to take the snap. He's going to fire it because, hey, Sam Laporta one-on-one, he's our guy here, right? He's really good at these types of things, and it's just not really that open. I'm going to be clear here. It also isn't not open at all. There is still a window potentially to make this throw. It's just a hard window. And again, for defense, sometimes that's all you have to do, right? Force Jared Goff to make a perfect throw. He'll make some, but he's not going to do it consistently. And as you see, this was not a perfect throw. And in fact, I actually wonder if there was a bit of a communication thing there because it was well underthrown. But regardless, it was really good defense. And actually, I'm watching it again. I'm wondering if that was maybe even tipped at the line potentially. That could have been a factor as well. But again, regardless, it was really good coverage. And we saw that every time Laporta was down the field, wasn't getting open a lot. It would have taken an absolute perfect throw for that to be a completion, which is what your job is as a defender. Make the offense have to be perfect, and they weren't here. And also something like this. This is a great example of what the Ravens are, were able to do in this game. And again, it's kind of what we've seen teams do against the Lions these past 2 weeks, them and Tampa Bay. I'm going to keep bringing up those two, games because of the fact that it is similar schemes. And those are the only two defenses, really, that have made the Lions look human this season. Although I guess you should throw Kansas City in there as well. But still, it's an exotic blitz package type thing, right? Where you have two defensive tackles dropping back into coverage. It's actually still just going to be a four-man rush, but, with a crazy way to do it. And when this play begins, it works. I mean, they get a player completely unblocked to go towards Jared Goff. And this is what you have to do when you're playing the Detroit Lions. Is I think a lot of times when teams are playing a team like the Lions that are so good and so clever and they constantly fool you, they say, okay, well, we got to simplify things. We got to just make sure that we don't get fooled too often. No, the Lions are going to fool you probably. So what you have to do is try and fool them, right? You have to also keep creating different things and creating exotic looks and things of that nature, because then the Lions don't know how to fool you. That is how you beat them, and that's what the Ravens did here. They get a player, right towards Jared Goff. Again, Goff here, he just takes the sack. So, really good scheme by Baltimore, and this is what you have to do if you're playing a team like the Detroit Lions. Again, we can sit here and say, oh, is there like a blueprint now out on the Lions? The difficult thing is that you have to have enough players that are good at this to be able to pull these kind of things off, right? Like, I don't really know if I would say it's a blueprint, because you have to be able to match up against the Detroit the way that the Ravens are able to do. But, this is part of why the Ravens were able to dominate so much defensively. Also, going over here, the Lions beat themselves at times as well. Of course, right? When you only score 6 points in a football game, it's going to be in part on you, right? That's just how it works. This play, it's that classic Lions screen pass that's been like the most deadly play in sports, it feels like. However, this time Jared Goff flips it to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who just drops the football. So, that's not good. That's not what you want to see have happen. And especially when it's supposed to be such a safe play, not being able to convert on that makes things difficult. They had just a few examples of that as well, of just not being able to win in these spots. Also, I want to head over to this play. This is another kind of good example of what Baltimore was able to do, is kind of force the Lions into these situations. They would do well on these early downs. This is a 4th down and 8 spot. This is not where the Lions thrive, right? The Lions thrive when they can have so much of the playbook open and make you feel like you don't know what's happening. Is it going to be a screen pass? Is it going to be, whatever? You just don't know. I got to give credit to a guy who a lot of people probably haven't heard his name before. This is Arthur Maulet, who has kind of been in the league for a while, was an undrafted free agent back in 2017, hasn't been too notable over the course of his career, but he had a really good game. I mean, he was the guy with that sack I showed you earlier. Now he's going to be going up one-on-one against Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's a tough matchup. Watch as Goff is going to take the snap, and you're going to see that when Goff eventually fires it towards Amon-Ra St. Brown, because why wouldn't you fire it towards Amon-Ra St. Brown one-on-one against a cornerback most of us have never heard of before? However, this pass is just underneath. It really doesn't get there, and they're able to get a turnover on downs right there. Again, maybe not the most catchable of throws from Jared Goff. I think that's fair to say, but also you're forcing him to have to be perfect, and he was not perfect in this game. So definitely you deserve credit. So what are our takeaways from this? The Ravens defense is still very good. That's something that I think it's been great all year, and it showed up in this game as well. I think it's been really, really underrated. People keep talking about the Browns defense and some of these other defenses. The Ravens, statistically, have been pretty much, they've been as good as any other defense in football except for Cleveland. But after this game, though, that gap has closed pretty significantly. It's not too far apart. Their defensive EPA is still second best in football, which is pretty good. So Ravens defense has been awesome. And for the Lions, are you concerned about this? I think that it shows that you are human, right? Which, every football team has a way they can be beat. The Lions are a football team who has a way they can be beat. I don't think it's worth panicking yet, necessarily. It was a bit of a disappointing performance, but, it is what it is. You're still a really good team. I still think that, hey, Baltimore sometimes says this to people. You caught them on their best day. It is what it is. That's how I view it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.